So on the multiverse theory of SJM books and the Fathers, spoilers ahead for Crescent City, Throne of Glass, and ACOTAR. I know there's some theory connecting Hunt and Lorcan and like Rhys or Cassian, saying they're all related somehow. Maybe they had the same father if it was Cassian, because we don't know their fathers, their bastards, because of the similar power level. But they all have very different powers. So while I'm not sure if they're necessarily related, I do think that the idea of beings walking between world walkers, we know that's possible, and it kind of seems like it was always an ancient thing, but what if it's still going on? We kind of get that vibe with Adrius in Crescent City, like he just pops over as a cat, like, and he could be summoned as a being. So why not beings of other realms? We see that some can be very technologically advanced, worlds that we are beyond our capability. With magic we can't fathom. Why not going across worlds and maybe having babies?
I just had the biggest SJM world breakthrough.
If you haven't finished all 3 SJM series, skip this, there's going to be huge spoilers.
I finished this baby and I was freaking out over the connection to ACOTAR. And then I started thinking that she's gotta tie Throne of Glass in. She can't leave my favorite series out. So I finished Throne of Glass a few years ago, but I remember this scene in Kingdom of Ash where Aelin is falling through worlds. And I remember her mentioning other fae. So last night I decided to pull out Kingdom of Ash and find this 1-page scene. I was not prepared for what I found when I reread this. Everyone needs to turn to page 800. She passed through a world where a great city had been built along the curve of a river, the buildings impossibly tall and glimmering with lights. It's Crescent City. And then this. She passed through a world of snow-capped mountains under shining stars, passed over one of those mountains where a winged male stood beside a heavily pregnant female, gazing at those very stars. Fae. And then she tries to signal them, but she's not in her full form. But he ends up lifting a hand in greeting. I cannot believe that Rhys and Faber were literally planted in Throne of Glass, but we had no idea who they were. Also, just a theory, but did this happen at Starfall? And was Aelin in the little star spirit form flying across the sky?
I'm so shook, and I'm just so amazed at how all these stories are weaving together. Did everybody else already figure this out?
I come to you with a new SJM theory, and this is something I like to call SJM math. And that is, I believe there is an indirect relationship between the coolness points of one person in a couple and the other person. Like, I think as the coolness points of one person in a couple goes up, the other one must go down. And if they don't, then it's not going to work in the long term. Let me show you some examples. Okay, let's start out with Rhys and Feyre. I would say Rhys sits at 6 cool points and Feyre sits at 4. Let's just say ideally you want the sum to add up to 10. I think that's a nice round number. Rhys is slightly cooler than Feyre. I would say he's slightly cooler than the cool average. 5 cool points is pretty cool. And he's cooler than that. And Feyre's slightly less cool than that. But they add up to 10. It works. When she was with this dummy, I think she had less cool points. I think she was 4, might be pushing it. She might have been closer to 3, and he sits at a 2 or a 3. They were never going to work. They were never going to add up to 10 because there's not enough interesting, cool stuff happening between the two of them. Then we have this couple, and I think Aelin is an 8. She's so cool. She's so interesting. Rowan is boring as heck. What do we know about him? He's a warrior. One time he had a wife. I think this guy's a wife guy, and maybe not in a good way. So watch out for Rowan. I have no problems with him, but I do think he's kind of boring, but Aelin needed boring to balance out how interesting she is. Let's rapid fire go through some of these. Nesta and Cassian. Nesta's a 6, Cassian's a 4. Nesta is Death Incarnate, so she gets some extra cool points. Cassian is a little one-dimensional, so he loses some. An ill-fated relationship. Selena is a 4. Not Aelin, Selena is a 4, maybe a 5. And Kayla's a 2 or 3. Never gonna work. Not cool enough. Not interesting enough between the two of them. This one is controversial, but I don't think this works in the long term. I think they both have too many cool points. Overpowered. Manon is a 7.5. She's almost as cool as Aelin. And Dorian is a 6. That is 13. That is too many points. They're not going to work in the long term. They were a fun time, not a long time. These two, on the other hand, we've got Yrene, an underrated heroine, at a 7, and Kayla at a 3. They work out well. Balance each other out. It works in Crescent City too. I think Bryce and Hunt are equally matched. They're both 5s. Both right in the middle of interesting, cool points. Then I was wondering if I could apply my SJM math to figure out who this guy ends up with. And I think it's kind of tricky because I don't think we've seen their full exploration. I think right now Azriel's sitting at a 3. What do we know about him? He sings, he's a regifter, he tortures people. That's not enough to get him cool points. Sorry. Gwen, I think 6 out of 6, and I really can't see her moving too far from 6, maybe dropping a point or two, but like her greatest power is like friendship, and that is. But Azriel could maybe reach her. He could get another cool point and meet her there. Elaine is sitting at like a 2 right now. She's boring. She might even be a 1. But I think she has the potential to move to like an 8. I think SJM is going to do something crazy with her, and I think she might become too cool for Azriel. She might need someone slightly less cool, like Lucian. Or maybe Azriel will become less cool as she becomes more cool. I don't know.
So I knew Sarah J. Maas's multiverse was rooted in Celtic and Norse mythology, but I didn't look up any of the mythology until now, and my mind is blown. In Norse mythology, there's 9 different realms centered around this world tree. Then they're split into 3 different levels. Now, Loki is a god in one of these worlds in Asgard, and he has children with a giantess, can't pronounce the name, Agrona. So we have Jormungandr, a serpent. This is Hel, which is the queen of the Hell realm. And Fenrir, a great wolf. They're all brother and sister. Now, there's this great prophecy that when all 3 of them are together, they're going to be the demise of the gods of Asgard, the gods of the Norse. They're a force to be reckoned with. So, of course, the gods split them all up, and this is where Sarah J. Maas comes in. Now, this is assuming that the gods are indeed the Valg, the Daglin, and the Asteri from each of the different series that we've got going on. We can imagine that they interbred, they have these demigod children, and that's all of the entire races of each of these worlds that we've seen. So, if this connects with the Norse legend, the prophecy, my thinking is that Throne of Glass is in Aurelia, and the stag is very much a prevalent figure in this. I don't know how it's gonna all tie in, but the Valg are in that realm. Then we've got Parathian, which is ACOTAR, very much same landscape as Great Britain and Scotland, Ireland, so we can imagine that they're following the Celtic and Irish mythology traits. There was a serpent figure in the Court of Nightmares on the throne room, so I'm thinking the serpent sibling made land over in Parathian. Maybe it went to Throne of Glass because we saw that great serpentine figure in one of the Throne of Glass books when Aelin is out in the mountain and it's under the ice wall. And then we've got Midgard, which is a phrase used in Norse mythology. We see the Asteri here. The Asteri have starborn powers, raw energy, and look at this. Great Wolf Fenrir. Who the heck do we know? Danica Fenrir, whatever. And they keep calling Bryce the Great Wolf. And then